Hey people, I've been working on cracking this case of the universe for a couple years now. And so here's a big Vinny Vitty Vicky to me. So this case of the universe, old Nikolai Tesla knew it. And the ancient Egyptians knew it. God knew it. And Job knew it. But from what I see here, all these people who's trying to interpret this Bible for you, they don't have a clue. But, people don't know this, but this book and this famous picture that Nikolai Tesla's reading, this is the Bible. And there is no conflict between science and the Bible. People just aren't reading it right. Yeah, Nikolai Tesla gives full credit to God for his ability to discover some amazing new ideas in the Bible. So microwaves come from the 4th chapter of Revelations. So in that movie I posted yesterday, the last thing I did, I read the end of this chapter of Job 20. I just read part of this. And I told you I was going to go back up and read it. And I did. I read this chapter. And I've ran into some things that they're not going to let me post here on Facebook or on YouTube. And so I started another channel here, and it doesn't have any licks on it yet. So when I get down to it, I'm going to post all this on here. But yeah, I'm probably going to move this channel. They'll never let me monetize the other channel. I got too much stuff that they've taken down. But when I got to the top of this, I started to read it, and it was really easy. I think this is the easiest thing I've found yet. And what it says is to ionosphere. IONXPR. The ionosphere, the nome it tie to yammer, to make word. The ionosphere, the ionosphere, that's what's above your head, It now means, the first layer of lights up, 100 miles above your head now. But it had a different meaning back then, the ionosphere. And so I looked at this, and this word, Mahdi, come up these 4 times. And it was also in Job 2:11, but it was at the beginning, Job 11:1. And then at Job 21, where I was just reading it. So I read this Job 11 first, and it was really easy to read. And Nikolai Tesla, he's from Latvia, and his Bible was Hebrew. And it's not Hebrew. The Hebrew is something they made up, because you don't bother learning Hebrew. This is an Aryan alphabet. Just learn this Aryan alphabet and you'll be able to read all this with me. You can see that this, I believe this is an Italian writer called this Assyrio alphabet. The Assyrio, and everybody else called this an Aryan alphabet back then. This translation's poor, but we'll get a couple things out of it. We can see where he said, "Pure my doctrine. For you have said, pure my doctrine." And that's the Zik al Phi. The Zik al Phi. Phi is the creation of everything. The pattern of creation is Phi. Phi. The golden ratio. It's the golden ratio that everything is created from, is the Phi. That's my doctrine, is Phi. So everything is created from Phi. And it says down here in 6, that he would show you the secrets of wisdom, for they would double your prudence. And so I'm going to get this far in this movie, and this is going to take a big series, because I'm going to read both of these. And they're both real easy, and this is the first information. As soon as I figure out what was going on in this Hebrew Bible, this is what I've been looking for the whole time. So if you just Google Phoenician letter meaning chart, or Hebrew letter meaning chart and learn the meaning of these words, the letters, learn the word meanings, you'll be able to catch this more. But this is, Vav is connected to, and then Yod to make, and then on means light, to make, see the cycles. When you see the cycle, you know what's fixing to happen when you understand how the cycles, hey, the sun comes up this time every day, it's a cycle. And you've done made light, you made knowledge. And so this is to make light, the sphere. And so if you spend a lot of time out in the middle of the ocean, you'll see that long before the sun comes up, around 4:30 in the morning, the sun will hit the ionosphere, and it'll kind of light the sky up a little bit, and then it'll get dark again before the sun rises. Then the sun will start to come back up and it'll lighten up again. But there's a spot in there where it's dark, and then it lights up the ionosphere around 4:30, and then it turns dark again before the sun comes up. To the ionosphere, to make a light sphere, XPR or TSPR. The Gnome tie, Nomti, the Gnome tie to Yammer, to make word. And so a gnome, this is a gnome here. Gnome is 10. It's one of 36 territorial divisions of ancient Egypt. And so it means, a 10 is 10 degrees. And you have 36 of them, 360 degrees in the circle. And that's why, it was 36. It's now 42. They've changed throughout the times. But at the beginning, it was just 10 degrees was a gnome. So, you have 12 houses out here, but they're all divided. There's 3 gnomes. Each one has 3 gnomes. 3 times 12 is also give you 36. So each one of these gnomes is 10 degrees. 10 degrees per gnome. And so as above is so below. So they were the 36 districts of ancient Egypt. But this is how they would write these gnomes. And so this is like a perch, like a bird perches on, and it's per, and it's where your word per comes from. 5/8, 5 per 8. It's where your word fractions come from, per. And this underneath here is the share, and it means a division of land, a share. It's like this. It's a share, and that's why they call it a shear. As a plow share. It's to shear the earth, or to shear the share. And so all the earth, which is the share, was shared up in divisions. And as below is so above. So the Egyptologists will call this a per, as in the house of. And they say per means house, but that's what it means, the house of. So your house of, the house of the land of the bow, and the house of the throne of Horus, the house of the shrine, house of the scepter. It means their share. Everybody gets their share. It's a bird perch. That's where that word comes from. Who's on that perch is the owner of that house, and that's their share. So this Y, it's the Y, the J, or the I. Ionosphere, TSPR, ionosphere, the Gnome tie. And so this isn't necessary to make word, but this is Vav 2, and then make. A is knowledge, M is from, R is first. To make the knowledge from first, And so in the book of Homer, that means to command, and that means, the knowledge from the first, whoever's in charge, is their command. To the ionosphere, the gnome tie, to make the word, to make the knowledge from begin. And then herein, B means in, ERB, herein, the first in, herein, Dever, DVRIS, here endeavor is Lay-one. L-A-Y-O-N-E. One. Well, I've been looking at forever. I've been wanting to know where exactly to start, and this is it. Here endeavor is lay-one. This is where to begin. And then they say this final M reads as an S. And anybody calls it an M, they don't know how to read this. This is an S. The endeavor is. That's why it has words. It's always plural. And so here again, this is W-A-S, or vast. Vast sea ages. And so it's easier to read this like to knowledge, to connect the knowledge from. It's an M and it means from, but it pronounces an S. And to connect knowledge from the C-A-J-S. So this yod here, sometimes it's I, sometimes it's a Y, and they don't want to tell you, but yeah, sometimes it's a J. I, J, and Y, all the same letter. How are they going to have a Jehovah if they don't have a J? And so it's the C-S-I-A-J-S, C ages. To learn from C ages. The spit. Spit is its side of. And so the spit, S-P-I-T, when somebody's passing judgment, that's the spit. Somebody's talking, it's the spit. The spit is it's the X is the X or the T-Z, the T-S. And so it's I-T-S-D-Q. It's side of. And so that's usually a word they use when they're talking about judgment. The spit is its judgment. The language is its judgment. And you break all these words down, it will break down into single word meaning. To make X, to plant through center. To make the plant through center. The spit is make plant through center. So the earth has been shish-kebabbed on this big spit. And, it moves 1 degree every 72 years. And so it takes, 360 degrees is every 25,920 years. It makes this complete circle. And so that's what they're saying, the spit is telling you the language. The spit is the spit. And this spit's constantly moving backwards. So here endeavor is lay one. Here endeavor is. You just replace that final M with an S is the way that should read. D-V-R-I-S. Here endeavor is lay one. And as C ages, S-I-C and A-J-S, ages. To as C ages, spit is its side of. So whatever side the spit's on, that's telling you what age you're in. All the stars that they're talking about, they're going to change. All the stars are staying the same, but we're changing. Our summers and winters are on opposite sides here. And so the stars that we usually look at night in the winter, well, we look at them at night in the summer. And this is the number one culprit of climate change. No matter how many cows you kill, you can't stop it. Indict from time. M is from. Indict from time. That's where your word indictate. And it comes from that big old spar that's sitting all over Egypt. They got the big spars sitting up everywhere. That's the dick. That's where it dictates. It dictates the language from that spar. Spar is the male part, and then there's a big oval around it with points where the sun will shine, and that's the feminine part. That's the et, E-T-T-E. That's where your word et comes from, and it's the feminine part. It means to read the writings on et. So all your ancient Egyptian gods, the female counterpart of the Ogdode is the same as the husband, except it finishes with an et or ut. And so in dictime, in dict, the one that's dictating, from time, M-T-I-M, M-T-Y-M, from time, each rise to. And so this is I-H, sometimes E-H is each, but an E is a life. But this is a I, and it's itch rise to. And so a EH, is E is a life, and then a divide. And so if you're calling out people, each one is his own person, and so it'd be a life divide. But if you're talking about a work, as a yod, and so you're dividing the works, and so that's a itch, and it's like a each work. It's instead of two words, it's a each, but it's just an itch, a works divide. A separate action. Itch rise to. What log? WT is what. And I got an old movie that explains what and what to and how all that works. But it's some of the first game you play with your children is what and what to. The picture goes with what to. It's called the game of what to, and it's the first thing you learn to learn language is the what to game. And so what is like W-H-A-T, to connect, seal, it's connected mark, it's connected writing. What is it, So what log, log is a ratio. From logarithm comes from log, which is a ratio. All your word logos come from, because the words came from the ratio, from the spear, the gnome, it tie. The gnome tie, the gnome mark make, to make the knowledge from the beginning, to make the word. So the log, the logos comes from what log, what ratio. Vein, wane, that empties. From calls, from give, bind, from call to cull. You want a certain bind, you want all the red. I'm going to call the red out, so I'm going to call to all the red. Hey, come here, all the reds, Call, from calls, from culls. What knowledge from first? Z-fold, ZK, the Z give, the Z-fold of phi. Of first high, of her high it tie, in seeing, B-N-O-C-I-N-I, ing, in seeing fold. What learned from first? The Z fold of phi. And so in spherical coordinates, phi is the polar angle from the Z axis. And so, this is our celestial axis, where we're looking at the North Star up here. We're on this spin. But this is our north ecliptic. This has to do with our travel, our orbit. And so this phi angle is 23.4 degrees they measured here. This is our celestial north, and this is our ecliptical north. And in order to get this tells me that when this book was written, that they say was written, between the 7th and the 4th centuries BCE, that they had already known about our orbit around the sun. It's the only way to get this angle here, this 23.4 degrees, that the Egyptians had already known about. Yeah, if you square all that up and look at this angle here, you see that this is exactly at 23.4 degrees. And so if you look at the ancient letter chart, the letter for the S, the secrets, it used to look like this jed pillar. Way back in the day, this was your letter for Samic. It meant secrets or support. The Samic. prop, or support, or secret. And they also say it means to grab, to hold. If you know anything about electricity, the way you figure the north ecliptic pole, is the same right hand rule you use in electricity. And the way the current travels is direction of the thumb. Vowels. VAWLS. Vowels minute in, backwards and forwards after this tack. MINTITN. The minute in. The vowels minute in who will through bear, dibber. Dibber is to plant or through bear. How path, PTH, path, the door. How path the spot to omic, the spot to omic, the spit of omic. The spit, the language is coming from the spot where these stars are sitting, their angle and their minutes and the time and minute. The spot to omic. Omic is the study of. Economics, the study of economy. Omic means to study. The spot to study. So not only, did they know about this phi angle, and not only did they understand the precession of equinoxes, they also knew that I would be reading this language to understand. To hear endeavor is lay one, and as sea ages, the spot is its side of. And so somehow back when they wrote this, they knew that I would be reading this, and they had to be watching this go on for a fairly long time to know about this. And they knew that they could write a language that I would be able to figure out and understand just by turning off my TV for a couple years and just studying. And so now this one's got the wall in it, and so this reads backwards and forwards. And so we'll see all three types of punctuation in these first 6 lines here. And so this is WYGD. How good? Why good? Who good? How good? How good? And then backwards and forwards. KLK. Clock. How good clock? And then after the mirror, read it all backwards again. College. KLDGI. The college to. How good clock? College to. And so college is an ancient English word. And it's where it means to come together, together. To bring it all together, to put all your math together, all your log, all your ratios, put them all together, college them all together. An organized group of professional people with particular aims and duties. But to organize it all together in one big collage. Who good clock collage. What tool from what? The secrets. WTOL. What toll from what? The check from. The check 'em. Give. And then my lip couples. KPLIS. With a double. Is my lip backwards first. To give the work. My lip couples. Lip out there on the edge. My lip, my words. The couples, let us see. LTUSIE. My lip couples, let us see. The secrets of wisdom. Who good clock college. What told 'em what. To check 'em. Give. My lip couples, let us see. And do. Vav is to or connected or and do key backwards and forwards. This ETHES. This is. And do key This is the lock. Who will monk? Who will monk? M-O-U-N-K, monkey. And so monkey is an old word for picking a lock. You know, to monkey something is to monkey it open without having the key. You would monkey open, or however you would get it open. But and do key. And do key, this is the lock. Who will, H-U-L-A, who will monk. That's where your word monk come from. The monks are the ones toting the key. And so it's in all the ancient artwork. You know, they're always holding the Bible in the key. And that means, yeah, I understand how to read this. That's where that word monk come from. The ankh, from ankh, monk key. From the ankh key. From Anki. You know, Anki was the god of the earth and water in the Sumerian tablets. But yeah, all the ancients, they all knew about the key. I imagine, you know, I know how much time I have to sit here and try to figure out reading all this. And so these guys that wrote this, you know, they had way too much time on their hands. But you see it in all the Christian art. You know, if you want the halo, you got to have the key. Passing down the keys. Alright, this first 6 lines. That's how far I said I would get. So I'm gonna cut this off here. I'll be able to post all this on my channel until I get to the end of that chapter 20. And I don't think, you know, YouTube doesn't quite understand the language. And they're going to pull it down. They're not going to like the language in it. Alright, good day.